What up, people? It's your boy Marv, and this is the Nerds in the Hood. Another exciting edition going on, folks. We are going to get ourselves into some good reviewing because one of the most underrated shows of 2024 has officially concluded, and that show is Agatha All Along. I mean, let's be real. The reason why I say it's underrated is because a lot of people are they're still divided, and I want to say I believe it's understandable why it's divided because of the fact that in terms of Marvel television, we've been on a real hit and miss situation where, not every show has been on point. Not every show has been valid. So this is like kind of breaking the streak to me. People have been really upset about Miss Marvel. They've been really upset about She-Hulk. They're not too keen on What If. And WandaVision was one of the few bright spots, even though that started off on a little bit of shaky waters. And of course, Loki. So, we'll get more into that after we finish reviewing the show. But basically, if you didn't see the show yet and you do plan on it, as always, spoilers are ahead. And you can always watch another video where I don't spoil anything as long as you subscribe to Nerds in the Hood. Check on us anytime you want. Watch us on YouTube. We're going to get back on Spotify real soon so you can take us on the go. So be on the lookout for that as soon as I get everything sorted. Now, with that being said, just want to go into, I'm not going to go fully into the show, but I just want to say this show was really cool. It helped us get more into what the Young Avengers might do, which is the littler kids of the Avengers, the sons and the daughters of certain heroes like Ant-Man and the Wasp, and in this case, just Ant-Man, and so many other people, Hawkeye's protege, Miss Marvel, stuff of that nature. So, what I liked about this show was mainly the fact that it was another show that took you on a loop. They made it seem like it was going to be scary. It wasn't really that scary. The seven that they called them, the seven that was trying to chase him, was a little creepy, which was the witch's convent. The seven that was trying to chase the witch's coven, was a little creepy, but it didn't really go that way. So I will say that was the one thing that kind of creeped me out. But other than that, I didn't really think that it was like as scary as like Disney and Marvel was trying to project it to us. But that's okay. Now, long story short, quick summation. Basically, the show was about, we were catching up with Agatha. This show basically takes place not too long after the events of WandaVision. And Agatha is still in the hex that Wanda set for her. She's still stuck in those TV character loops that she was going through. And it started off with like a pretty cool TV loop that she was in, which was more based on like True Detective and shows similar to that. And that was pretty cool to me. And then eventually a teenager finds her and gets her out of that hex and asks her to take him on the witch's road. She gets a coven full of other witches she used to rock with. And basically what ends up happening is that these witches decide to go on the witch's road together to help get something that they desired, that they needed back, whether it was power or a loved one or something of that nature. They wanted to get it back. And then once they go through the witch's road, you go through different twists and turns. Couple of people don't come back. They unfortunately pass on. They meet a woman named Rio, which they find out she is deaf herself, basically. And they also mention another Marvel character named Mephisto, who will come back in Ironheart from what I've seen. So Mephisto also, I'm hearing, is going to be played by Borat himself, Mr. Sacha Baron Cohen, which should be pretty dope. I think he will play an excellent Mephisto. He's wacky. They'll probably want him to stay in the British accent, so all of that would be fire. Now, basically, long story short, that's what the show is about. My favorite episode, I would have to say, honestly, was the episode where they went more into Lilia's past and basically watched her go through a whole time loop that just brought her back to her eventual end. But it helped her discover who she was, and then it helped push these characters a lot more forward. Now, originally, I was going to say the best episode was where they actually did a rock version of Down the Witch's Road, which is a pretty cool song that they sang throughout the show. And it was a song that helped them get even on the Witch's Road until you find out it was all a hex. But in the same scope as Agatha All Along and the WandaVision theme songs, this was just as cool of a song. So make sure, I'm sure by now it's either on YouTube or you can stream it on some music platform service. It's a pretty catchy tune, not gonna hold you. And when you find out the importance of it, which we'll get to in a moment, it makes the song even more fire. So kudos to them for making that song. But her episode was definitely more of like, you could feel just the remnants and just the vibes of the Wizard of Oz. It was Wizard of Oz vibes. It was given Wizard of Oz because she even was the good witch in the Wizard of Oz. They had them all in different costumes from different characters of witches, and hers was that good witch. So for her to be able to push like several characters forward and give them better character development, that was a real driving force into the climax of the show, because by then it was only 2 episodes left. But that was episode 7. Each episode was named after a different lyric from the Down the Witch's Road song. And that was also pretty cool to me. The fact that we found out that how Billy became this powerful was also pretty dope. I did not know that he just stole a random body that had unfortunately passed away. So the kid that you see in the beginning of the show is a different kid because his soul had already gone to the afterlife. And Billy Maximoff, who we saw in WandaVision, when his soul left because the hex was over, his soul flew into this kid's body because they found out that this kid technically can't die. He can just reincarnate every single time, which is what might also be happening with Wanda. That, to me, is pretty fire. I don't think there was a trash episode to me, but like I said, a lot of people are online giving their opinions. They not feeling it. But I really do think that we're just in a boat where people are just upset in general when it comes to Marvel TV shows. And right now, this really is the one that breaks the streak. Not only did they transition Agatha to not living, but they transitioned her to where she is in some forms of the comics, where she is just a ghost. And she comes around as a spirit from time to time. And now she is doing that when she's going to help Billy find his brother, who was also probably in somebody else's body, which will then bring us, most likely, the Young Avengers, which we saw getting slowly established and teased at the end of the Marvels, Captain Marvel 2. So Marvel's putting these pieces together for what we're bound to see in the next several years with the Avengers movies and anything that comes before that. And we're in a bit of a rough patch because, Captain America at the test screenings already people are saying is trash. Blade is just a nightmare in terms of production. We didn't even see much else about it outside of we saw 2 different Blades in several different years. But that's a nightmare right now, and we don't even know what other movies is going to be fire. We scared of the Thunderbolts, and the Thunderbolts might actually be good. So we don't know what's going on. And all this time, DC is just building a strategy to make some type of a comeback by letting James Gunn just run the whole ship. So the Penguin is on fire right now. It is an amazing show. And then we don't know what other shows he got in his sleeve. But so far in the past year, Peacemaker was fire. Well, not even the past year, in the past few years, Peacemaker was fire, and this was fire. And now we got Creature Commandos coming and a lot of other stuff coming in the next year or so. So DC's trying to make that comeback. They are trying. And Marvel's job is to keep them from winning, obviously. So they have to find a way to secure the W that they once secured back in the days of Infinity Wars and Endgame. I'm saying that like it was 20, 30 years ago. It was only like 5. But still, that's my point. Not to digress too far off of like the review of this show, but just to say that like this is a step in the right direction. If y'all was mad at Miss Marvel, if y'all was mad at She-Hulk, if y'all was like on the fence about WandaVision, you shouldn't be with this show. This show wasn't about, and it wasn't really about trying to like right any wrongs, and it wasn't really about patching anything up. It was just ending a story of one character, transitioning her chapter into another's, and focusing on a new story that we might see in a new show about his dad, Vision. So if we get that, then you'll probably see Agatha again, and you'll probably see Billy again as well, and maybe his brother, maybe Wanda too. But that's all we did. We just finished one story because we loved Agatha so much that they wanted to give her that show. She probably wasn't going to get that show, but then she was such a impact player in WandaVision, they felt like, hell, why not do it? Why not? I mean, hell, we got Hulk Son now, which was very unexplainable in the MCU. So we might as well get this. But what I'm trying to say is like we got to just be patient. But one other thing I'm going to take away from this show is Agatha is a scammer. She was hustling people for years, centuries, hustling people, hustling. She made up a song with her son. Her son sang the song, then tricked witches into believing that this song was going to take them on some type of journey for more power and desire. And then in the end, she pumped them up and they took the bait. She trolled them like, yo, y'all trash. Took the bait, zapped her with power that she could absorb so she could keep living, and they passed on. And she used that, I believe, in my mind, they used that so she could pass that to death. She could pass that to Rio. Because you find out later that Rio gave her time to be with a son that wasn't supposed to be. That's why his last name is Scratch and not Harkless, because he was made from scratch, basically. He wasn't supposed to be. She wasn't supposed to have him. He was supposed to just go. So to find out that Agatha was scamming people up until this current coven that they had was crazy. And the only reason they got saved, the only reason is because Billy made a hex as strong as Wanda's that made them believe they was on an actual witch's road. And in reality, they was probably in like Agatha's backyard or something. So that to me was fire. Now, that does lead me to another question. What happened to, what was her name? The lady that was with them that passed away. Did she just still pass away? Because, well, then again, yeah, because Alice passed away and Lilia passed away. So, yeah, that neighbor should have passed away. Yeah. That's one thing I had to take away from her. I was like, Agatha was out here scamming people for power for years. She probably deserved to go at this point. Like at the end of the show, she was like, you know what? I deserve this. This is why they made her have this connection with this kid, because it made her realize like I was wilding back then and I was wilding now. Like I need to stop. I need to stop. It's a wrap. If he wasn't there, she would have wilded out again. These three witches would have lost it, and then she would have moved on with her life. But that's what she tried to do in WandaVision. She was going to take all the power from Wanda and keep it moving too. So she's always been a scammer. WandaVision was a scam mainly because of her. So kudos to her. She's one of the biggest hustlers in the MCU. I got to give her that. They have actual robbers in the MCU like Star-Lord and freaking Peter Quill, Ant-Man. And they all... No, I said Peter Quill, right? No. You know what I mean. Lang, whatever. Steve Lang, whatever. You know what I mean. That Ant-Man. Paul Rudd's Ant-Man. Anyway, because I did say Peter Quill. I meant to say Paul Rudd's version of Ant-Man. Keep it hood. We're just going to say Paul Rudd. You got to excuse me, brother. I be tired when I be recording these. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, she is one of the biggest hustlers in the MCU universe. Like, she will hustle you crazy. And if you're a witch, you're going to hustle even harder. And the kid made up a song so that way they could hustle people even harder, which was crazy. And I thought, to me, that was kind of funny. I was like, yo, Cass is out here getting straight hustled. They getting got. And that's part of what made it. I love the fact that the last episode was just like a brief look at her life before she completely left us. And then you find out she's a ghost. But they wanted you to understand the method behind her madness. Like, yo, this is how she been wilding for all these years. And then when it finally got to the point that somebody else was doing some wilding, she looked at the camera like, oh, I'm about to eat. I'm about to eat. It's a wrap. I'm about to get all of y'all. He just made it worse for y'all. Game over. So I thought that was funny. I thought that was funny. And Catherine Hahn played a excellent role. She's been doing this for a while. Definitely a role player. Definitely got her own show, and now it's fire. Shazir Zamata, glad to see you doing your thing again. It's been a while since I seen you on the telly. You know what I mean? But you're doing big things out here. So shout out to everybody that was a part of this. Aubrey Plaza, my Puerto Rican sister, you doing your thing. Keep going. It was fire. Glad to see all y'all found a spot in the MCU. If I was an extra in the MCU, I'd be hyped. I'd be bragging to everybody. Yo, I was in the MCU. I was citizen number 450 in Spider-Man. Like, I would just talk my talk every day. No lines, just running. So anyway, but yeah, I need y'all to understand, like, this is the war right now with the DCU and the MCU. The MCU has been holding the lead for a long time, but slowly, very slowly, if this James Gunn's DCU works out, they're going to catch up somehow unless Marvel keeps widening the lead distance. If they don't, this is what we're going to have fun either way. We should all be happy about this war because we need to be entertained as fans. But if we're not getting what we need to get from either of them, it's going to come to a point where people ain't going to be paying to go to the theaters to watch a movie that ain't slapping. People ain't going to pay to go watch something that ain't hitting. People ain't going to take their time to stream a show that's not as good as at least Agatha All Along. You know what I'm saying? So if we're not getting this, that's going to leave us with some issues on both sides of the field. So if we don't get it, if the Penguin and Peacemaker are like the standard at DCU and we don't get some TV show that's close to those two, then are we coming back there? I don't think so. That's all I'm saying. So I'm going to stamp this. By now, I've been doing this for a long time. By now, you should be well aware with our rating system for Nerds in the Hood reviews. So we're just going to go ahead and stamp this as valid. This was a valid show. You heard it here first. I don't care if it's a hot take or not. I'm standing 10 toes down on my business. This show was valid. It was a good show for the MCU, a good stepping point to right their wrong in the sense of like better quality. And now we wait because now we got What If coming out at the end of the year, but we got Daredevil coming out next March. And it's Daredevil. At this point, if they do wrong, they let us all down. You can't give us 3 amazing seasons on Netflix and then come to Disney Plus with garbage. That's all, you know what I mean? Like, you can't do that. So, fingers crossed that this MCU wave delivers after Agatha All Along. We need that wave to go. So, I'm not much for the comics breakdown because I know I don't know everything about the comics. So I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you stuff like that. I know there's other videos out there for that, but what I wanted to do is come from the Nerds in the Hood perspective. That this show was valid. This show was live. It was good. It was entertaining. It was funny at times. They didn't really have fights. I'm not gonna hold y'all, but you got to see a lot of magic. They had like one fight maybe, but you didn't even really get to see the fight because Billy was like fell in a greenhouse, and then when he got up, he looked around and you saw light and stuff, but you didn't really see them throwing hands or throwing magic, and that's okay. This show wasn't made for fighting. The show was more made on the strength of we needed to see drama and we needed to see a story unfold and characters develop and become who they needed to become for the next chapter of the MCU. So looking forward to seeing what else they do in the world of Agatha. But until then, we're going to come back on that. So it's your boy Marv Lat. I'm signing off. But make sure you follow us on all social media. The link tree is in the description below. So look for it and follow us on all social media. Check out the other content we have and what's coming soon on Nerds in the Hood. Till next time, folks. Peace.